Rats? Rats? Hey guys, so today I'm going to profile another deck for you. This is a deck that I have built several times over since the release of Raticate Break way back in Breakpoint. And it's gone through a lot of versions, but unfortunately we're going to lose this guy pretty soon for a rotation. So figure why not give him one last hurrah. So let's get started. As you saw, we're using Raticate Break, which means we're going to see a whole lot of rats in this deck, starting off with 3 copies of Rattata from Evolution. So, really quick, it has 40 HP, pretty low health or hit points, whatever you want to use to refer to its health as. Bite does 10 damage for 1 colorless energy, but the ability is very, very good. Mischievous Fang. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench, you may discard all Pokemon tool cards attached to your opponent's active. That's pretty good. So it gets rid of choice bands and poison barbs and float stones and whatever else your opponent might be using. So 3 copies of Rattata. We'll set that right off to the side here. Now we all know, well, I don't know, if you're new to Pokemon you might know, but Rattata evolves into Raticate. We're also using Raticate from Evolution, 60 HP, so 20 HP more. 2 attacks. Crunch does 10 for 1 colorless energy, but you get to discard an energy attached to your opponent's active Pokemon. This is great because it slows your opponent down as far as powering up their Pokemon. And Shadowy Bite for 60 times. This attack does 60 damage times the number of special energy cards in your opponent's discard. Using Crunch to get rid of the energy, you're coming back and hitting Shadow Bite if the energy you discarded was a special energy. You can run up to 4 copies of the same type of special energy in a deck. Some people tend to run 4 copies of a double colorless energy. If you manage to get all 4 copies in that discard, you're hitting for a whopping 240 damage with a Pokemon that has a 60 HP. Some people will say that's OP. Anyway, Raticate, for our purposes, is not the final evolution form. The final evolution form is Raticate Break. Check out the attack. It has 110 HP, so not very high HP. But Super Fang for 2 colorless energies. You get to put damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon until its remaining HP is 10. You're not actually dealing direct damage, and so there are certain Pokemon like Jolteon EX and I believe it's Glaceon EX that if you're a basic Pokemon, or for Glaceon, if it's your evolved Pokemon, you can't attack after that said Glaceon or Jolteon has used its secondary attack. Basically, you can't hit it back, but you can with Raticate Break because you're not dealing direct damage. You are actually placing damage counters until the HP is 10. That's ridiculous. So you could be facing a Pokemon with 100 HP. You could be facing a Pokemon with 250 HP. Doesn't matter how high their HP is. You're bringing them all the way down to 10. And then, if you survive into the next turn, you can hit them with Crunch for 10 to knock them out. But Crunch and Shadowy Bite are 2 ways we can knock out our opponent. We have some more in the deck, and I'll show you those later. Now, to aid Raticate, we are running Lurantis, which means we have to run Fomantis. 3 copies of Fomantis. 2 attacks, 60 HP. 2 attacks. Synthesis for 1 colorless energy. Search your deck for a Grass Energy card and attach it to one of your Pokemon. It could be your active, it could be your bench. And then shuffle your deck, and then Leafage for 20. We try not to use Leafage. We're really trying to use Fomantis. If we have to use Fomantis, we're using Synthesis. Fomantis evolves into Lurantis GX. So we're running 3 copies of those. Flower Supply for 40 damage. And a colorless, or not colorless, I'm sorry, a Grass Energy. Attach 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile to your Pokemon in any way you like. It can go onto Lurantis, you can split it up on your bench, you can put it on both on one of your bench. This Solar Blade hits for 120, heals 30 damage from this Pokemon, but we're not using it for that. We're not using it really for the GX move, which does 50 damage times the number of grass energies. We're really just using it for flower supply to power up our Raticate breaks as quick as we can. The final Pokemon in our lineup is our Pull Engine, which you guys will learn I prefer to use Oranguru over Shaman while Shaman's still in rotation. Not for the attack, simply for Instruct. Once during your turn before you attack, you may draw a card until you have 3 cards in your hand. Alright, so that's it for our Pokemon lineup. Let's take a look at our trainers. Now, I've been mentioning falling out of rotation, falling out of rotation. That's because every year after World Championships, Pokemon Company drops a certain number of sets out of the competition standard format. So we're due to be losing quite a few this time around with some important trainers such as VS Seeker. VS Seeker is an item card that allows you to go into your discard and pull out a supporter. I really relied on that, and so with Roaring Skies pretty much falling out of rotation, I have started to build my decks without VS Seeker. There are other cards in here that you'll notice are also falling out of rotation, but I'm trying to get the hang of life without a VS Seeker. So, starting off, we have 2 copies of Shauna. Shuffle your hand into your deck, then draw 5 cards. So we'll set Shauna right over there. We're also using Lily. Lily says to draw cards until you have 6 cards in your hand. If it's your first turn, draw cards until you have 8 cards in your hand. So, just pulling out those cards, accessing your deck. The idea with Lily is to play your hand down as much as you can and then play her to maximize how many cards you get to pull. Shauna, you're simply shuffling your hand in there. So you hand it to your deck, so you're not even losing those cards. The next supporter we're running is Hala. It says to shuffle your hand into your deck, so just like Shauna. And if you have used your GX attack, you can draw 7 cards. If you haven't used it yet, you can draw 4. So again, trying to refresh our hand and not lose cards. Now, if we are in an absolute pinch and we've got to get rid of our hand, we have 1 copy of Professor Sycamore from Steam Siege. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Now, next up, for a little more draw support, we are also running Mallow. Search your deck for 2 cards, shuffle your deck, then put those cards on top of it in any order. Now, here's what you want to do. Our buddy Oranguru here. That ability Instruct. Remember I was telling you, you get to draw until you have 3 in your hand. You play your hand down until you have Mallow left. Then you play Mallow. With doing that, you're ensuring that 2 out of the 3 cards you'll get to pull using Instruct with Oranguru are the cards you personally picked out. The next card we're running is Pokemon Fan Club. We're running Pokemon Fan Club because it allows us to get 2 basic Pokemon out of our deck and put them into our hand. A lot of people are using Garbodor from Guardians Rising, which is killer because of Trashalanche. Trashalanche's attack that allows you to hit 20 damage for each item card in your opponent's discard. Trashalanche has been hitting for upwards of 200, 220, 240, 260 damage, even higher than that. And so this allows us to get Pokemon without using item cards. Now, to help us get our Raticates and breaks, are you running 1 copy of Winona? Yes, she is from Roaring Skies, so she'll be dropping out of rotation pretty soon. Search your deck for up to 3 colorless Pokemon, reveal them and put them in your hand, shuffle your deck afterward. If you have 2 Rattatas on your bench, go get yourselves a couple of Raticates and a break. If you have 3 Raticates on your bench, you play Winona and grab all 3 breaks and evolve at the same time. Now, in order to pick out any other cards we may need, at the time we have Skyla. Search your deck for a trainer card, reveal it, and put it in your hand. Shuffle your deck afterward. The next card we have is Lysander. Very straightforward. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with his or her active. If we find that we have the advantage, on a Pokemon that is on our opponent's bench, we can switch it out and go for the KO. The final supporter in this lineup is Team Skull Grunt. Your opponent reveals their hand. Discard 2 energy cards from it. This is great because 1, you have the opportunity to slow your opponent down by discarding energy, and 2, if they don't have energy, guess what? You get to see what's in their hand, so you can play some card that perhaps may force them to shuffle their hand into their deck and draw, like an N or something like that. Or Ilima or Ilima, however you want to pronounce it, from Sun and Moon base set. Let's move on to our items. Now, this deck is built to slow our opponent down, to get rid of energy. That's specifically why I'm using Raticate from Evolutions. It's also why I threw in the Skull Grunt. We also have other things to get rid of energy, such as Crushing Hammers. Flip a coin. If heads, discarding energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. Notice it says 1, so it could be a bench Pokemon, it could be an active. And it says N energy, meaning it could be a basic energy, it could be a special energy. To complement our Crushing Hammers, we're running 2 copies of Enhanced Hammer. Discard a special energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon. Whoa, let's wait a minute. Let's back up. Take a look at Raticate. What is his second attack? Shadowy Bite, 60 times the amount of special energy cards. We're running 2 copies of Enhanced Hammer. Hopefully, we are able to utilize both of them and get special energy into the discard for some easy knockouts. Okay, moving along with our Disruption deck, we're also running 2 copies of Field Blower. Choose up to 2 in any combination of Pokemon Tool cards and Stadium cards in play, yours and your opponent's, and discard them. I have played this deck a few times, and the opponent has really not liked it. Few people have rage quit on me on TCGO because of this deck. Continuing with slowing our opponent down, 3 copies of Poison Barb. If the Pokemon this card is attached to is your active Pokemon and is damaged by an opponent's attack, even if this Pokemon is knocked out, the attacking Pokemon is now poisoned. This works hand in hand with Raticate Break. Super Fang, put 10 damage put damage counters on your opponent's active Pokemon until its remaining HP is 10. Then they hit you on their next turn, it's an automatic knockout, even if they knock you out, because that's poison, and poison counts 1 damage counter on between turns. So there's our Poison Barbs. Okay, continuing with Disruption. Bursting Balloons. Basically, I'm not going to read this, but basically, if you are hit during your next turn while having this Bursting Balloon, even if you're knocked out, the opponent absorbs 60 damage. Moving right along, Floatstone in case our Oranguru gets stuck out there, free retreat cost. In case we're having trouble finding our Raticate breaks, our Oranguru and our Lurantis GX, we're running 4 copies of Ultra Ball. Discard 2 cards from your hand. If you do search your deck for a Pokemon, reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle your deck afterward. So very basic trainers. It's all about accessibility, guys. Accessibility, accessing your deck. In case we're running short on Energy Professor's Letter, search your deck for 2 basic energy cards, shuffle them into your hand, put them into your hand, shuffle your deck afterward. In case we're forced to discard any of our Pokemon, we're running 1 copy of Rescue Stretcher. Choose 1. You either put a Pokemon from your discard pile into your hand, or you can shuffle 3 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. And then, hey, you use Winona to search out 3 colors Pokemon, and bam, you got them back. Now, if our evolutions are stuck in our prize cards, we run one copy of Rotom Dex. After counting your prize cards, shuffle them into your deck. Then take that many cards from the top of your deck and put them face down as your prize cards. Our stadium's real fast to help our Lurantis get out fast. 2 Forest of Giant Plants. Basically, your grass Pokemon can evolve on the same turn that they're put into play. And we are running 8 copies of Grass Energy. And we need to get Raticate Break set up fast. 2 double colorless energies. Anyway, that's the deck, you guys. Like I said, Raticate Break, this is just one version of mine. I've gone through many, but by far this is my favorite one. We're going to take it down to one of my local game stores tomorrow and give it a few rounds. Be sure to check back on Thursday for a battle report. I'll probably have a couple of boosters to open also, see if we can pull anything good. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So if you liked this video, please show us some love and like the video. If you can please comment if you feel the need. And as always, if you really like what we're doing here, please subscribe to our channel, follow us on our Instagram page, and as always, train on.